love to be near, and I'm sure that I've been speaking to him every day as well, and he's always telling me like chill, don't let the nerves get to you, and I'm chilled there. I've got a great team behind me. I'm getting along with the Pakistan team great, so it's good. But it would have been good to see Ami here as well.
And I hear you then want to go pro as well.
Hopefully one day, yeah. But first of all, I've got to go through the Commonwealth Games. Hopefully get a good result and see what happens after this.
Well, it's a brilliant experience to be here. Enjoy the rest of the show. Thanks, Arun. Thank you.
We've been joined by the Gambia and by Tonga, now Trinidad and Tobago. Cleopatra Borrell-Brown, who won bronze in the shot put in 2006.
And it's her birthday today, Hugh. What a day for her.
Well, it's one heck of a day for her, to be fair. Leading the way for the national team at these Commonwealth Games.
Please welcome our next guest, Turks and the Caicos Islands.
Now, I have a soft spot for the Turks and Caicos Islands, Hugh. My first Commonwealth Games as a 17-year-old in Edmonton in 1978. My coach, Jimmy, flew out, and he ended up getting accredited as the head coach for the Turks and Caicos Islands because one of the officials there knew him well from back home in Jarrow. And Jimmy, well, he was treated like a king, he was, and he had a great time, and so I've always watched out for the Turks and Caicos Islands. On that occasion, I think they had about 3 or 4 weightlifters who all played in a steel band. I'm sure they were only selected because they were all members of the steel band, not because of their weightlifting ability, but they were great fun.
So, Turks and Caicos Islands with a vote of confidence from Steve. Not long to go before the last of the home nations, Wales, joins us here in the stadium. Tuvalu, led by Lapua Tuo, who's a weightlifter. These are the low-lying Ellis Islands.
I love the story about Tuvalu, that they've sold their domain name .tv for $50 million, some of which has gone into sport in the country, which is great.
And they might get it back in 12 years, so it's a lease of probably a very wise deal. Uganda are with us. The East African country, of course. Ganzi Semu Mugla, who's a swimmer, leading a very talented contingent from Uganda.
I'm joined now by John Doig, chef de mission for Scotland. What's it like being in this stadium?
It's an amazing experience coming in here. What amazing spectacle, everybody watching, not only in the stadium, the feeling for the athletes coming in here and hearing their name called out and seeing the Saltire going in front of us. You know, it's something they'll remember for the rest of their lives.
Does it seem like the drama of the Athletes Village has been forgotten now?
Yeah, and it's all about this. It's all about the sport over the next 10 days, and we're sure there's going to be some fantastic memories from here, but also those performances you're going to see tomorrow, the next day and the day after.
Have the home nation teams all been mingling in the Athletes Village, or is there a bit of a rivalry going on?
There's a bit of friendly rivalry. These are the friendly games, and we have been mixing. Everybody knows each other, but once we start tomorrow and get in that pool on the track and on the hockey field, it's all going to be whoever wins.
Well, good luck. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Will do. Thank you very much.
Thanks, John.
I think I'm allowed to say, Steve, that there was a gigantic cheer in the stadium when Wales came in. David Davis, the swimmer, led them in. I was leading the cheering, by the way.
Well, there was a cheer in the commentary box. I was trying to listen if it was in the rest of the stadium. I think you're right, though. I think you're right.
I can say that Chris Jenkins, who's the chef de mission of the Welsh team, has been in the BBC office quite a few times during the preparations. At one time I did tell him maybe he should set up an office with us.
I have to say, Hugh, that they're looking sartorially elegant, looking very, very nice indeed, very smart.
And how do we rate their prospects?
Well, in athletics, fantastic. Di Green, 400 hurdles, has gone right up to the top of near the top of the world rankings. Rhys Williams in the same race, Christian Malcolm, the 200, and young Francesca Jones. Watch out for her in rhythmic gymnastics, just 19 years of age.
We shall. Zambia, following Wales. Rachel Nachula.
I think the crowd is already ready for the next team.
We know what's coming.
We know who's coming now.
Because after Zambia, the last team in will be the host nation, India.
I think the stadium is just erupted with cheering here. I think that's great for the athletes, for the Indian athletes, considering everything that they've had to go through. Of course, as the home nation, the largest team, with over 400 athletes, and India's only Olympic individual gold winner of Abhinav Bindra is the flag bearer, and there he is. He's been a very, very busy man, but he's looking very smart in his sherwani. Crowd loving it. There's the Prime Minister, Manmohan Singh. Always a very genteel man. And all the athletes there in their beautiful saris. It's a great moment for them.
It's a very proud moment indeed, Tegu, and when you think of the problems of the last few weeks and months, you get a real sense here in this ceremony of moving on, setting those problems to one side. There's a real outpouring of pride and enthusiasm as the national team appears.
Definitely, Hugh, and I think especially for the athletes, I mean, this is what they work towards for years and years, and they really wanted to get down, and you know, this is what is important about the games, the sports and the hard work that these athletes have put in, and unfortunately they haven't had the opportunity to practice in many of the venues, but
well, nonetheless, they've targeted over 100 medals, which I think is a steep mountain to climb, but they know how to do that in this part of the world, don't they?
They want to better their last tally, I think,
they do.
Steve.
I think it'd be really interesting. We could have one of the well, I think could be one of the real moments of these games, because in track and field, India have traditionally not done that well. Milkha Singh, back in 1958, the great flying Sikh, as he used to be called, the only gold medalist of the Commonwealth Games back in 1958. But with Tintu Luka in the 800 metres, of course, we have no Caster Semenya of South Africa here. A couple of the English athletes not here. She's got a real chance. This season, she's gone from almost unknown to right towards the top of the world rankings, and she could well become the face of these games if she were to win the gold medal on the track here.
President of India, Pratibha Patel. And it looks like the whole Indian contingent seems to be here.
So as India make their way in, completing this athletes parade in this opening ceremony of the Commonwealth Games in Delhi, let me tell you that what happens next in this ceremony is that we are approaching the moment where the games will be formally opened. But before that happens, there will be a few brief remarks from the man who's organised the games, Suresh Kalmadi, from the man who's in charge of the Commonwealth Games Federation, Mike Fennell, and from the Prime Minister of India, Dr. Manmohan Singh. And they will all say a few words. After that, the baton relay will take place. The baton which has been all over the world and which has now arrived in Delhi, containing the Queen's message, that will be presented to the Prince of Wales, and the message will be read. After that, the President and His Royal Highness will declare the games open. That is the plan of action.
I'm just looking down in front of me, Hugh. They're getting a fantastic reception from dignitaries and the crowd alike. And as I said, they've all been designated seats to sit in. I'm really worried there aren't enough seats for the Indian team.
It does look to be a very big crowd, Steve. You're right. And just to convey the sense of the response here in the stadium, it is thunderous applause. And of course, that is backed up by these pulsating drums, which have been going now for 50 minutes and adding hugely to the atmosphere.
I think this is what the country has been waiting for, and maybe this is the enthusiasm and the excitement that India has really been working towards. Just get on with the games now. I think that's what the Indians have been saying. Sports never have been encouraged much in the country, unfortunately, especially from a young age, and I think there's a real sense that these games will spur on youngsters in the country to take up the various sporting events.
Some people at home will be surprised. They'll think, well, Indians love cricket. They're obsessed about cricket.
Of course they are.
So clearly they are engaged in sport in some ways.
Definitely. And during the Football World Cup, I mean, the crowds in the sports bars were enormous. So Indians love sports. They love watching sports. It's now a matter of participating in them, I think, which would be important.
Well, with 1.3 billion people, if they do start getting their act together, then watch out the rest of the world.
That's Suresh Kalmadi. That's the man who's organised the games. He's taken a bit of stick, I think it's fair to say. He's been criticised for aspects of the organisation, but he's been, well, I think he's been pretty unyielding in his attitude.
He has. At one of the press conferences, Hugh, when he was asked whether his dream of the Olympic Games in 2020 was over, dead and buried, he said, talk to me after the game. So
there we see the seats reserved for the Indian national team. Just maybe up to 100 of them still to be seated.
Jack Rogge, the IOC president, looking on, and of course it's been mentioned on more than one occasion already this evening, there are ambitions for India to bid for the 2020 Olympics. So I'm sure Jack Rogge getting a very close-up view of how they're doing at the start of these Commonwealth Games at least.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, we welcome the athletes of the Commonwealth to India. Brilliant sportsmen and women from 71 nations who have gathered here to compete in the spirit of the games.
देवी और सज्जन, हम स्वागत करते हैं राष्ट्रमंडल देशों के सभी खिलाड़ियों का सच्ची खेल भावना के साथ.
So this is signalling the next phase of this ceremony. As I was saying, some brief words of welcome from Suresh Kalmadi and Mike Fennell and the Prime Minister before we move on to that baton relay and the formal opening.
And now, please welcome Mr. Suresh Kalmadi, Chairman Organising Committee, Commonwealth Games Delhi 2010.
कृपया स्वागत करें आयोजक समिति राष्ट्रमंडल खेल दिल्ली 2010 के अध्यक्ष श्री सुरेश कलमाडी का.
oh dear, few views there for Suresh Kalmadi.
Srimati
Wasn't the best
Pratibha
reception.
Devi Singh Patil, Honourable President of India,
I think he is the man that many
Your
people
Royal
here
Highness,
blame for all the
Prince
mess
Charles,
that's been seen around the world.
Prince of Wales and the Duchess of Cornwall,
His Royal Highness
Dr.
not
Manmohan
impressed
Singh,
with the
Honourable
boos,
Prime
maybe?
Minister of India, Mrs. Sonia Gandhi, Chairperson, National Advisory Council, all the visiting heads of state, Honourable Michael Fennell, Commonwealth Games Federation President, and all members of the Games family, Count Jack Rogge, President, International Olympic Committee, and all the IOC members. Your Royal Highness Prince Edward, Earl of Wessex, and Vice Patron of the Commonwealth Games Federation, former President Dr. Abdul Kalam Azad, group of ministers headed by Shri Jaipal Reddy, Minister of Sports Dr. M.S. Gill, and all the cabinet colleagues of his and officials of the Government of India, Secretary General of the Commonwealth Mr. Kamlesh Sharma, my fellow members of Parliament and leaders of all political parties, Mr. Tejendra Khanna, Lieutenant Governor of Delhi, Mrs. Sheila Dixit, Chief Minister of Delhi, members of the Defence and Security Forces, my colleagues in the Indian Olympic Association and other stakeholders, my colleagues in the Organising Committee, the army of 20,000 volunteers who are the backbones of the Games,